November 13th, 2023. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using the NinjaTrader 8 platform. You can look at where I saw setups as well as where I took my trades in the descriptions below. This is what the overall chart looked like today. There was no real economic data to cause any big jolts. For the most part, it looks like prices stayed within I would say about 28 point, 30 point range. And this is what the pre-market looked like. Marked the highs and the lows. And I originally thought it was going to be a range. And for the most part, it looked like it was going to respect that. Then it broke out and then create a second overlapping range. Today, I took 3 trades and lost on 2. I did all kinds of things wrong today. It was probably better to have just not traded. I'm going to go through the setups and what I saw today. So this is the overnight. And in the pre-market, you see this big push up. And then it kind of corrected and it opened. The first setup I saw was a new low here. The first entry short, pull back, second entry short. I drew this descending trend line here, and I wasn't really sure where the channel was. At one point, I had it a little bit higher, but it had this overshoot, so then I dragged it down here, and it wasn't creating very good confirmations. It's kind of spiky, but nonetheless, I saw the setup, and I called it an almost setup because it is potentially at the top of this range. Excuse me, at the low of this range. I'm looking at the wrong thing. At the low of this range, and it's about to break through. So it's coming from a failed breakout. It's a good signal bar, but it's not quite at the bottom because the bottom was just so noisy and choppy. It had a good EMA rejection, and I think it was like first entry long, second entry long failure. And the thing was, I just didn't feel confident that there was enough momentum to push it down further. Turns out the trade would have worked, but this is a trade that was okay skipping. Prices then continue moving, falls into this other trading range. Things are just noisy and it just stays kind of like this way the whole day. Volatility and volume was rather low. And the 3 trades I took today, I'm not proud of. I'll get to them pretty shortly. So then I see this other setup here. I saw a visual 1 leg down, pull back, a second leg down. But then you have to take this as a new high. There's a first entry long, second entry long, and also a new low here. First entry short, pull back, second entry short, failure. I thought this was a possible trade, but I wasn't ready to take it because it's a visual 1 leg down, second leg down, and push up. And it's coming from a potential fail breakout here, and it's the low of the range. And I thought this, when I saw this, I thought it was kind of a possible trap for shorts because I saw this new low, first entry short, second entry short. But as you can see here, it technically hasn't failed second entry short yet. It ticked 2 ticks below, then it reversed quickly all the way back up. So I thought maybe it's going to be a failed second entry short. You do have a new high, first entry long, second entry long potentially forming, but I saw it as a big visual. And then by the time the next candle formed, it was too late. So unfortunately, this trade is kind of ran away with you, and it's already pushing against the top of the range. And this is a rather small risk. There's only 5 ticks. Then prices continue moving up. So this is where I actually take my first trade. So I saw this as a new low here. First entry short, pullback, second entry short, and I saw this as a visual second entry short failure. And I took this trade because I saw this micro triple bottom here, and I wanted to have a breakout of this candle here to confirm the second entry short, and it did. And as soon as it did, and I was chopping around, I entered here. I did consider that I'm potentially at the top of this support, but I also thought maybe the support was slightly lower, maybe about right here, which meant it was already breaking through the top of the support when there might be enough momentum to continue up. I was able to get a quick point, then it comes flashing back down. Saw a new high here, it's a first entry long, pull back. It creates a second entry long. The second entry long here, I felt it's kind of a riskier trade to enter long because I don't have a confirmed support here. It almost touched here, so technically you only have 1 touch, 2 touch. Even if you dragged it up, then you'd have overshoots at the beginning, and it just wouldn't be clean. It'd feel like I'd be stretching and reaching to try to make this work. So if you did consider it as a bounce here, then it'd be the first bounce, second bounce, and it would be chopping and moving back up. But it is below the EMA, which I'm not too keen on. And it did make 2 clean legs down, so you could expect another move back up. And it's making higher lows every time. So I felt it was more of a riskier trade. I wanted something a little bit more definitive. Prices then continue moving up, chops around, kind of respects some kind of resistance up here. And now I have a confirmed bottom trend line support, and I drew the top of the trend line resistance up here. So I have this yellow channel that I think prices are respecting right now. Prices move up, it hits it. It looks like it's about to break through, and it kind of comes back down. So whether this is an overshoot or not, I'm not 100% sure because you could have drawn it higher to include that. Flashes up, it has an overshoot, and now it's clearly outside this yellow channel, and it's just dwelling outside of it pretty much for long duration. So I don't know that this yellow channel is valid anymore. I saw this intermediate smaller green channel going up, but there was no trade that I could see here. Then as it was going up, it bounced off. So I decided maybe there's an overlapping orange channel going up. So I saw one touch, two touch, goes up, create a second touch, and now it's kind of holding. And so I saw this as a new low here. Clearly it's lower than anything before it. Well, excuse me, not anything before, but everything was above it. It creates a new low here. Saw first entry short, pulls back, creates a second entry short. Now right here, became kind of interested. I'm watching this and I'm seeing it bounce off the EMA. And here it closed right below. Now I wanted this ideally to close, a little bit above, but when this one happened, it creates a failure. So you have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. This candle creates a failure, and I thought this is a possible trade right here. Unfortunately, at this time, I was actually away from my desk, but it is bouncing off the bottom of this orange channel now, and it has a pretty decent signal bar. So there was enough room to even get to the top here, where they might see a potential resistance, but definitely before it hit the top. Flashed up, it would have worked. And I saw this is a new high, first entry long. I'm thinking EMA is kind of holding. It is respecting this orange channel. And there's a potential second entry long here. This is a pretty strong bar, except what I don't like is it's entering into a potential resistance already up here. So to take this risky trade, even if you took right at the top, you don't have enough room to scalp out. And you could potentially take it down here, but I don't like how these candles are pretty much side by side of equal sizes. Turns out it would have worked. Keeps flashing up, hops around. It breaks out of this orange channel now. So now I'm a little confused because I couldn't get a channel to fit completely clean. But I also knew that this is not yesterday, but last week's high. And I'm wondering if there's going to be some kind of resistance respected there. Prices move up, then kind of comes back down. I'm thinking I might be playing inside this green channel. So what's a little bit confusing today is you have this push down, you have this move up. Then I saw this another move up. So it's like the yellow first, then the orange, and now I'm working on the green. So it's gradually becoming more and more steep. And so that's making me a little confused on where prices, I'm thinking prices are going to come up and maybe push on through if it can break past this this high from last week. But I don't really know that. And this is kind of some weird price action. It's a little confusing and tricky for me today. I do see a new high here, first entry long, second entry long. It's a good signal bar, but it's an inside bar, and it just doesn't look very clean. Prices then break, kind of go down. So now it broke through the orange channel, definitely the green one. It tried to make a new high, but it didn't, and it's now breaking through the orange channel. Looks like it broke out. Maybe it's going to test the new high, but whether it's going to try to test it on this channel or this channel, I'm just a little confused. And prices continue down. So it creates a new high here, creates a first entry long, second entry long, failure. But also saw this as a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Now this is kind of a doji bar, but you do have two setups coming for it. And I would have wanted this ideally to push up and touch and be rejected by this yellow down channel. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I had to kind of leave it alone. Turns out it worked out. EMA is kind of pushing prices back down, but now it's breaking back above and is inside this range. And this is actually where I took a no reason trade. No reason trade is pretty much exactly as I stated. There's no reason for me to have taken this trade. And I'll explain the reasoning of why I even took this trade, which is full of pitfalls and just emotion. So as prices are coming down, I'm seeing prices potentially being rejected off this downward trend channel. I saw this as a new low. I saw first entry short, but when this one flashed so strongly downwards, I was thinking, oh, this is a strong push. Obviously, it wants to make it back down to the bottom. completely negating the fact that it's potentially in a range at the fail breakout. If I were to take this entry, it would have, this poor entry, it should have been right when it broke below the EMA. But I waited and I saw this flash down. I got emotional. I jumped in one tick below. Now, why is this? I, obviously, this is a bad trade because it's already pushing against this potential resistance here. The only reason of taking this trade is potentially there's a rejection here, but there's nothing that says it has to come back down to the bottom because previous price action has told you that it's potentially in a range. So selling at the lows didn't make any sense. And of course, I get stopped out for good reason. So this loss washed out the win over here. So that was pretty, well, it's kind of a bonehead move. Prices then chop down. It breaks out of this yellow channel, and I'm seeing this potentially green channel now. Prices, it broke out, made a new high, comes back down. I'm thinking there's some kind of resistance here. Comes back down. I see this as a new high. So first entry long, pull back. Creates a second entry long, but also creates a new low here. First entry short, pull back. Second entry short. So in real time, I'm seeing first entry short, second entry short. I'm also seeing new high, first entry long, second entry long. So second entry long with failed second entry short occurring. You would think you want to go long, but what I didn't like is it's a little bit congested right here. And it's actually after the break of this green channel. So it broke, it may want to push up, and I'm thinking it also could try to make a push down. So to go long felt risky, but then this green channel wants to make a new high as well. But then you have an interplay of this yellow channel wants to hit a new low. So I was confusing myself over and over thinking, well, there's a good reason to go long, there's a good reason to go short. If you did go long, it looks like you would have quickly gotten a scalp, but it felt very choppy. But then I saw a higher low here. That's higher low. I thought technically this isn't really a higher low because you have a first entry short right here, second entry short. Technically your higher low is here if you count it like that, but you also have a higher low potentially right here and right here. But then this one came back a little bit lower. So even though this is it is a higher low, it's not higher than these guys. So it's not very clean. And it just felt like to take a long trade felt iffy. Why would I even try to take a long trade? So this mark, it was in real time, I was just a little confused, a little jarbled, kind of emotional. And then prices then continue going up. It touches this and comes flashing back down. This is where I take my third trade. So it's actually a new high. It comes back down. It pushes up. It looks like it's being rejected by the EMA. So this is a good signal bar. It's pushing back into this potential range. And I saw this resistance here. And I also saw another potential resistance here. So whether you drew your range from this top to this bottom or this top to this bottom, it looks like there's some kind of rejection happening right here. So you would think you want to go short. What I did was I foolishly clicked the wrong thing. I sold here. So I entered the trade. I went long. You want to go short, and I went long. And when I realized my mistake, I didn't immediately exit the trade, which is foolish. If you make a mistake, you just got to get out right away, take your licks. I sat in there thinking, well, maybe it's going to bounce off the top of this range here and save my trade. Of course, it doesn't. I get stopped out, and for good reason. As soon as I entered and I realized I should have gone short instead of going long, that was an immediate indication that, hey, I need to just get the heck out. But I didn't. I kind of held on for no good reason, thinking that, well, maybe the universe is going to save me. And that was foolish. So this punishing trade here is for good reason. One, I clicked the wrong thing. I clicked long instead of going short. Two, I should have immediately just gotten out of the trade as soon as I realized my mistake. What good reason was there to hold and hope that it's going to come back? There was no setup for it to go long. And then three, I don't think I was just emotional. I didn't read the price action correctly. And at that point, realized like I am not in tune. I need to just not trade for the rest of the day, even though it's pretty late now. And it had been a very slow crawl today. So after seeing that, I just kind of sat and continued watching. I didn't really see any more setups. It gets pretty noisy and into the close. So today was just a day where everything was going wrong. And I definitely should have just, this trade where I got my one green, I should have just walked away at that point. and then taking 2 losses here, especially after this bogus bonehead move. I think after that, I wanted to just get back to green. And so taking this trade would have been correct, would have been good if I did the right thing and taking a short. But if I took the long like I did, the best thing to do second would just be to admit my mistake and just exit. But I stuck it in there and it stuck it to me. So yeah, I definitely did something stupid, and maybe might need to take a cooling day tomorrow. Maybe just watch the charts but not trade. But we'll see what happens. So hopefully that was helpful.